Hi there, I'm Tim Irvin.
And I'm Stacey Irvin. Welcome to the Totem Wellness Podcast.
We are thrilled to welcome Kris Robertson to our podcast today. Kris is a performance coach and sports scientist, which we're going to dive into what that means because a lot of our listeners probably won't know that. Stacey and I have an idea. Got a master's of exercise science in sport and conditioning, and that comes off of an amazing athletic career at Concordia, where you were a football player and you were an All-Canadian, which is basically the highest award you can get as an individual player. It's a big deal. Drafted in the second round by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And in my little bit of investigation, I didn't know this about you, but you actually are still in the top 10 in 2 CFL Combine records. So
what?
A 43-inch vertical and a 4.42 second 40-yard dash. So for those people who don't know what that means, there's really no context. Fast. It is like extremely elite. So like best of the best. And that's why like how many athletes have gone through the CFL Combine and you still rank in that. So congratulations.
It's crazy to think like that was 2013, which is like so long ago, right?
And then you leverage your education and your personal experience into strength and conditioning head at Simon Fraser University. You were head strength conditioning coach with Rugby Canada in the women's 15s. Yep. Is that right? And then moved into sports scientist with the Toronto Argonauts, winning a Grey Cup in 2024. Yep. Which is pretty damn cool. Cool. And then obviously, I think you started last year. This is your second season now with the Raptors 905. Correct. Yep. At head strength and conditioning coach. Yes. So all this personal experience of yours in football, and then obviously the coaching in these various sports as well. You've seen it from both sides and experienced it. And so we want to talk to you about what's the roadmap to elite athleticism. So we're talking primarily about youth development and helping somebody be able to achieve that sort of dream if they have the skills.
You missed an important part of Kris's bio.
Yes, what is it?
2 kids?
3.
3 kids. Yeah. What are their ages?
So this year it's 8, 5, and 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
busy.
I'm actually tired just thinking about your schedule right now.
Yeah, no, busy.
It's a lot. That's great. Good for you. And the reason I think it's important to highlight that, you and I have had conversations about this before related to youth sport. A lot of people put their kids into youth sport with the hopes that they're going to end up like you at the end of it, or maybe being coached by someone like you. Let's go all the way back to very young. Let's take your 5-year-old. And we know that there's actually organized training for 5-year-olds. Our son is an elite hockey player. And he started coaching, and he actually thinks this is crazy as well. He started coaching hockey to that age group, and these are the ones that are on the ice all the time to become elite hockey players, and they are 5. I'm not exaggerating at all. We both were shocked about that.
Paying for this coaching.
For a lot of money. So let's take a 5-year-old, and let's say kind of describe a path that you would see the people that you work with regularly. What were they doing at 5 years old?
So I actually had a conversation about this earlier this week. I was talking with one of my friends who played in the CFL, had a long career, played in the NFL. And a parent was like asking about, hey, when's our daughter's 8-year-old soccer team? When are they going to start training with you? And I'm like, no, they don't need to be training with me right now, right? The biggest thing is he finds like, I didn't find football till grade 10. But I did a variety of other different sports. So like my general rule of thumb I like to work with when it comes to like kids is just like, make sure you put them in activities and that they learn how to like run, catch, throw, swing a bat, shoot a hockey stick, right? Just like general movement variety is kind of what you want. When you have movement variety, that leads to, or what I like to call is like scaffolding. You scaffold all these like different types of skills, and that leads to a variety of different tasks. So like if you think of rugby or even hockey, like you have all these different skills that are amalgamated into one sport, right? But again, the basics can be learned. There's things you can learn from the sport of basketball that will apply to hockey. There's things that you can learn from learning how to throw a ball, right? Just movement, coordination, and skill, right? I like to look at it as in terms of, when people learn like from linguistics or even like musicians,
Mm.
is it's easier to pick up, how to play multiple instruments early in your life versus later on in your life. So it's just like give them movement variety as safe as possible, right? So like for me, I like to look at things in terms of like rules of engagement. So my rules of engagement are like when it comes to kids, however old they are, that's how many hours of a week of activity that I would probably recommend,
Interesting.
right? So
That's
I
a
just
good
like,
guideline.
yeah, it's just a simple
So
guideline.
simple.
It's not perfect, but basically, having kids myself, I kind of went through it. I know what I know about sports science, strength conditioning, and um, you know, sorry, another topic is just parents. Parents are one of those things, but we'll
We're
talk about
not
that in a second.
experts in
Exactly.
that for sure.
So the biggest thing is just like I had, my daughter was just, having game experience would be really good. So we're like, oh, go play a game, on this day, but then you're gonna practice the 3 days prior to, all right. And then it's just like, yeah, my ankle hurts. And I'm just like, she's 7 years old. I'm like, what? Like, it was a really big reality check for myself, right? To be like, okay, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? Like, my 7-year-old daughter should not be talking about her ankle hurts or, the back of her leg hurts. And I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, let's chill on this. So then that's when I just started thinking about, and I was like talking to different people. And a simple guideline I like to use is just the number of hours, however old they are, that's the amount of hours a week. And then you start to really start counting. And you're like, my daughter's at like, I think 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6, depending on the week. And it's like, it's a lot.
And is
And
that formal activity, like practices, games
yeah,
stuff?
that's what I would just say. Because most things that they do for the most part are going to be an hour.
Right.
Right. When my daughter's soccer practice, that's an hour. She'll do, she does a basketball and that's an hour, sometimes 2 hours. But again, I just keep it as simple as that.
The elite professional athletes that I've worked with over the years love the sport. And in many ways, to me, that's what set them apart from everyone else, is that there was kind of no place they'd rather be than at the rink or at the football field or in the weight room. And I have to think that they grew to that love of it because it wasn't rammed down their throat when they were 8 years old. Would you
Mhm.
agree with that?
Yeah, so I agree with that. So, biggest thing is like a lot of people always ask me, like they think like I coach my kids, right?
Mhm.
Because of like what I do.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll coach on a few things. So like again, when it comes to those basic fundamental skills of like throwing, catching, kicking, things that they may not get in their sport or whatever they're
Right.
playing right now. Um, but basically, I just don't want to turn into, sorry for my language, but like the asshole. I don't need to be the asshole yet, right? It's
Yes.
about the love of the sport.
Yes.
Okay. So just making everything that we do is want to make sure that they fall in love with it.
Right.
Right. So like my daughter, when it comes to soccer, my oldest, she loves soccer. I don't have to push her. I don't
Right.
have to say, hey, you need to go, do 100, 100 touches. You need to go do this. She'll do that by herself in the hallway. So those are things that you look for, right? And another thing too is just like, my background's football. I love football, live and breathe it, worked in it, things like that. And I don't mention it to my son,
Mhm.
right? Because I just don't want it to be, oh, I forced him into something.
Right.
So it's like him falling in love with it on his own, and he's done that. Like
Mhm.
I watch the sport with them. Sundays we
Mhm.
watch football or we watch
Mhm.
basketball, and they sit down and watch with me.
Mhm.
The Jays, as sad as that was this year, they fell in love with baseball. Now they want to go to baseball
We
games and stuff like
all fell
that.
in love with the Blue
Yeah,
Jays
exactly.
this year.
So it's just again, fall in love. Make sure that they have an enjoyment for what they're doing, because if you love something, you're gonna work hard at it, right? And then when they get to that high school age, that's when mean dads sometimes will come in and be like, hey, listen, you got to do this and do that. I know what it looks like. So
I
let's
can't
get to
wait
it.
to see Mean Dad.
It takes a
Wow.
little second. But again,
Wow.
for me, the things that I stress on with my kids is like, did you have fun? Right? That's always my first question. I always ask, you have fun? And I always ask them about their effort. So effort is something that they have the ability to control, right? So, when my daughters had practices that, I'm like, how was your effort? She's like, I'm like, we get mad about that.
Mhm.
I don't get mad about necessarily, a tactical or a skill thing. Just like, hey, we got to work on this skill, but it's the effort is the one thing that I'm just like, we harp on.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever go to a game or whatever, I'm like, what? She's like, all right, don't worry, I'll give effort. I'm like, yeah. When my son goes to jiu-jitsu, effort. And that's the most important thing for me at this age, I'm finding.
So here's some stats. 70% of youth drop out of sport by the time they're 13. 70%. So you're thinking about all the 10-year-olds
So
that are
sad.
playing, that fun soccer or the fun baseball or whatever else, something turns them off. So the two biggest things that turn them off are it's not fun, right? And it's not fun because of the load. So there's just too much. They don't want to play 5 or 6 hours of soccer or baseball per week for 10 months a year.
It's more
And
like
then the
15 months a year.
Yeah.
but
coaching style.
Right.
So the coach is not making the thing fun. If independently they would enjoy that activity, like go and play with their friends and that'd be great. But they go to this organized thing and the coach is like maybe yelling at them, wrong style, whatever else. The fun falls out of it for them. So too much and not the right kind of coaching. 70%. So I just think about this, robbing these kids of some fun for the rest of their lives. Then there's this whole societal impact, which not to get too far off the topic, but they stop doing sports. So now they're not going to do it. Maybe when they're in their late 20s or 30s, they'll start back up with a pickleball league or volleyball or whatever else. But they've got this negative connotation around sport. So now physically, they're not as healthy as they otherwise would
Mhm.
be. So it's like when I read this, I was just like,
We have a big
wow,
problem
we have a big problem.
in society right now because a lot of the attention gets sucked out of the room by professional sports. And a lot of people in North America believe that if you're not headed that way, there's no other really good path for you. And that's kind of what we saw so we have three as well, 17, 19, 21. And so the 21-year-old is basically college football. The 19-year-old is women's soccer at McGill. And then the 17-year-old is junior A hockey player. So we've lived through a lot of this
Mhm.
and watched our kids go through it. And in their early years, we battled very hard with coaches saying we need them 5 days a week and the game is this day and you show up an hour and a half ahead of game time and don't do anything else on the game day and all those types of things when they were, in our opinion, way too young for that. And so thankfully, because of what we do, we're okay to say no. They're playing soccer on this day, then they're going to come to you for hockey. And then in the fall, it's football. And we're going to rotate through all the sports like that. And we did that. And we did that fairly successfully. There were definitely tiers and teams that they did not make because in order to make a provincial team, you have to commit to that very high level. And we said, that's okay. And we circled back around. And sure enough, in these cases, our kids, when they hit 17, 18, 19, were better developed than lots of the kids that had specialized when they were 14, 15 in those ages, when they really start to do like 7 days a week kind of thing. We didn't know. We took a gamble, and we kind of took a gamble also on the things that you're talking about, mental health, effort. If I don't see you, if I'm taking all this time out to drive you to a practice in God knows where and show up for a game and you're not going to put an effort in, I don't have to put the effort in to get you there. Kind of like that was kind of our opinion. And also to have the conversation, if the effort's not there, why? Are you bored? Not working well with the coach? What's happening? So it's an interesting thing that we had to battle it though really hard. Like, are you
Mm.
finding that yet with
No, just because one, my oldest is 8. So I'm
yeah,
like, I haven't gotten
you're not there
to
yet.
not there yet. I'm thinking probably is gonna be that like 13
Mhm.
is probably where you're gonna see a lot of things happening.
Mhm.
Um, and it's crazy that, things get crazier around that age. It's
Yes.
like,
And that's
there's
when they quit, which the
puberty's
Yeah.
happening. There's
yes.
all these
There's
different
just so
things,
many
right?
things going on.
So it's just one of those things. I'm going through it fresh. I'm learning as I go, right? With my daughter in the soccer world, I don't come from soccer, so I'm like, I had to like be around people and learn from people. When we got approached for her to go to play rep soccer,
Yes.
we're like, I don't know if this is like a good idea. So then I
Mhm.
had one of my friends I spoke to, and she's like, Kris, you can always go back.
Exactly.
So if it's too much, just go back
Yeah.
to the house league or
Yeah.
wherever you're at,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like if opportunity comes, you kind of just take it, and we've been able to take it and be good.
Mhm.
Where I'm finding a lot in the youth sport, it's a lot in basketball. I think is like the AAU culture.
Yes.
So basically, what ends up happening is that these kids are on 5 different teams.
Right.
So then they're playing multiple
Mhm.
games,
Right.
right? Versus actually like practice and actually skill development, things like that. If you're just playing games, which are really good,
Yes.
never gonna say don't play games, but
Yes.
for me, I think like the technical aspects at the when you're 12 and under,
Right.
like learning the skill, learning your body, learning all those different skills that I talked about
Yeah.
are really important. I was actually reading something about how like the European way in terms of how
Yes, it's very
they
different.
train, and it's like a 4-to-1
Mhm.
ratio.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
4 practices
Practice
per
to
1
one game.
game. And as I was just like, oh, and like that makes a lot of sense. Whereas like what you're finding in North America is kind of like the flip.
Yeah.
And I've even heard like, LeBron James has spoken about this, Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, has spoken about it, and just in terms of the problem that they're seeing in youth, and this is basketball they're speaking specifically, right? So for me, the biggest thing is like, unless you're in one of those sports like a dance, a gymnastics,
Right.
where
You have to go
you
early.
have
Yeah.
to specialize,
Yep.
and the kids are going to the Olympics at 15.
Yes.
I get that,
Yes.
but for most team sports, I think you have a better chance of, yes, focus on your soccer or whatever sport that they love, but try and do other things that they can well round themselves in, right?
Agreed.
And I just look at it, and like one of my rules we say like with us, like again, going back to like my rules of engagement, is one rep sport. So we only have our kids, if they're gonna play rep, it's gonna be in one thing, and then everything
One
else is gonna be like recreational
for fun.
house league for fun.
What would you suggest if an athlete is working with a coach, like they're on a team that they want to be on, but the coach is it's a toxic environment. So that's one question. What do you think you should do in that situation? And then what do you see? What would the qualities be that you see in the best coaches you've ever worked with?
In terms of, if you identify that your kid's in a toxic environment, right? Um, I'd like you to think of it in the terms of an abusive environment.
Agreed.
Just think of it like that. As grim as that sounds,
Oh,
like
it's true though.
if we heard something about a kid was being abused in an environment, what would you do? Take your kid out,
Mhm.
100%.
right? But with the sport, it's just like what happens is, because the kids, especially you shoot with girls as well, they develop these relationships and they want
Yes.
to be with their friends,
Yes.
right? But again, it's like on us to be as parents to be like, hey, listen, yes, you're gonna be disappointed at me right now. You may not like me, you might be upset, right? But this is probably the best situation to kind of pull you out from,
100%.
right? And again, it's just, again, you have to know your kid, how they're gonna respond, right? Some kids will be like, I'm gonna be upset. Some kids will be like, I'm quitting, they're gonna rebel. We don't know, but that's an individual basis. But
Mhm.
for me, I look at it in terms of, if you see it's less than ideal, I would recommend take your kids out.
I like those words, abusive, because that's what happens out there.
It's what
Yeah.
things will grab people's attention when I use those kind of words, because
Smart.
it's kind of like that though.
It
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 is like
100%.
that.
Like that.
And
I've had
we make
coaches like
as
that.
parents,
Tim has as
we
well.
make excuses because it's like, oof,
Yeah.
I don't want this to stunt their
Or
pathway in this sport.
or the biggest thing that you'll see as well is, it's like it's just convenient. Like,
Yes,
listen,
this one's so
this
close.
practice is on Wednesday at 4:45,
That's
and based
so
off of our
true.
schedule, I come from work here. I
That's
got to do
true.
this.
That's
Right?
true.
We're in this
It's such a
society
good
now where
point.
it's insane how busy everyone
Yeah.
is.
It's such a good point.
So you're just like,
You're picking the convenient one.
yeah. You're like, oh, this Saturday 9:45 class, it works like perfect in our schedule.
Yes.
Right. So those are the kind of things that
great point.
happen, and we just have to just be cognizant of it and just be like, hey, listen, we are going to make a difficult decision. All right. And then in terms of like the best coaches I've seen, are ones that are very adaptable in swimming. I think they call it's like from puddle to podium. And essentially what that is like from the grassroots all the way up. Right. So the best coaches I've seen are ones that have like gone through that pathway, not themselves, but they've, coached along
All
it
the
Mhm.
or
ages.
have coached
Yeah.
an athlete through it.
Yeah.
And what does that mean if you see an athlete go from the beginning to the end? That means experience. You've just seen a lot
Mhm.
more. And it's one of those things I remember when I was first getting into the strength and conditioning industry, I was upset when you would see someone like, oh yeah, we want someone like 7+ years experience, right? But it's like you have all the educational background,
Mhm.
it doesn't you just don't have that experience. And
Mhm.
like those years of experience actually really mean something,
Mm-hmm.
right? In terms of you've seen when things go good, you've seen things go bad, you've seen different ways people are able to do things, right? The biggest thing I like to say, there's multiple roads that lead to Rome,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in terms of like with coaches, just having that experience and hey, you know what? I've seen your daughter reminds me of someone, your son reminds me of someone, and this is the path that they went. I've seen it where someone takes a quote unquote conventional path. I've seen someone who's taken a rocky path. They left the sport for a couple of years and they came
Mhm.
back and look where they are now. It's like, oh, there's many ways to do things, right? So the good coaches I find are the ones that have that experience. And I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of good ones, especially when I was working at rugby. He'd been in the pathway and then he was coming back and finding young talent and bringing them up, right? And then a lot of our girls that we'd see are now on the the 7 series stage and things like that.
Wow.
And then he was the one that called it out. He's just like, hey, this girl, she'll be in Paris in 2024. And I was like, oh, okay. She was 13. And I was like, oh.
Wow.
He's like, no, I've seen it before. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then there she's there. And I was like, whoa. So I was like, 2024 was kind of like the icing on the cake for me to just see what that development pathway looks like, and then just like how they were coached, where they went, what they had to do. And it was just like, oh, it's really eye opening.
And with your work with these professional athletes in the CFL and the G League, NBA, do you, I guess, first question is, what's the general pathway for those athletes in terms of their development? And second part is, have you seen a change in what that pathway is over the last 12 years?
There is in a lot of the sports, minus like the football. Actually, no, there is. Like most of these kids start younger than I did, for example, right? And then like even a lot of like my friends found football late. You don't really, from what I've seen, I'm just like you're not seeing a lot of the kids who are. I found this sport at 15 and then took off.
Right.
Especially in Canada
Right.
with
You don't see
football
that.
too.
You don't
Yeah.
see it.
It's usually later.
You see them doing things earlier, but with regards to I feel like from a talent perspective, right? I think kids are bigger, faster, stronger, more skilled, things like that. Um, I think it just comes down to I don't want to say like attention span, but it's just in terms of like we live in a microwave society now. So it's understanding that, things aren't instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
right? And it's just it's just different. And it's like
Yeah.
it's hard to compare. It's like you're comparing apples and oranges in terms of like from generation to generation because things have changed, right? And when you have, social media and media, what it is now is just you're seeing like highlights. So,
Yeah.
there's obviously a lot of comparison and there's things like that, which is my guess is why you're seeing a lot more like from a mental health standpoint, that's on the rise. So it's just because comparison is a thief of joy. So it's different.
That's
Yeah.
comparison is
is
the thief
interesting.
of joy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Wow. That's
It's different.
a very good statement. I was thinking as you were saying that, our 17-year-old, and 17 is a tough age, that's like grade 12. And I was picturing him because what happens, so we were at the game last night. One of the kids gets into his very first fight ever. And it's a full fight, and helmets are off and the whole thing. And gloves are off too. It's a real fight. And as a parent, it's kind of crazy to watch that, right? Because the refs are standing there. There's 17 to up
Ish.
to
Yeah.
20. Okay. They're like mixed together on the team. It's this kind of a strange environment. But then my first thought was the game ends. That video, they all capture it because everything is videoed. Everything then will go through their social media. Those boys are all going to watch the fight over and over again. They're all going to comment on it. And it's the same thing that happens with a great goal, or the same thing that happens when you get nailed into the boards and are lying in a crumpled heap. You get to watch that video over and over and over again, and your friends are sharing it. And I think about when we did sports, no one would even actually really know about it, right? Like we might do something good and you could find a video of it. Well, especially in track, nobody cares. But we wouldn't have to relive it and have people commenting on it. And now it's even with the statistics and everything, like it's instantly updated. I can't imagine the pressure on these kids with all this.
There's two things. So I have one of my friends, his son is U10 baseball, and they have an app that shows updates like who's at bat, live
Yes.
stat. And I
Live
was just,
stats.
I'm like, this is U10?
U10.
I was blown away.
Yes.
And like someone's updating it, the scores updates. You can literally watch the game and not be there.
Yes.
But it's like how it's done is it's all like digital.
Yes.
Like you don't actually see them, but
Yeah.
it shows all
Yeah.
their stats and everything.
That's what's
So that was
happening
really
with the
cool.
hockey too. It's wild.
Right? It's insane. But the biggest thing I look at is in terms of, before the prominence of like social media and things like that, your failures were quiet.
Yes.
Now your failure. So, the kid who got in that fight, the kid who lost, his failure, and everyone's resharing it. Oh, yo, this guy got dummy,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah.
Now it's like, how many kids, I would love to know, is like how many kids don't do things out of fear of
Right.
being ostracized
Yes.
online
Yeah.
and social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to get in out. Or hey, maybe I'm not going to take this shot. Or hey, maybe
Yes.
I'm not going to try and attempt this because
Yes.
I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yes.
And it is embarrassing when,
Yes.
when failures happen.
Yeah.
If I think in basketball, you shoot an air ball at the end of the game,
Yes.
big game, you shoot an
Yes.
air ball. What's that going to, social media is going to go crazy.
Yeah, that video is going to go everywhere.
Insane.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I always think about, I was so happy that I had like my senses and my, early adult brain before social media came.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
like Facebook came out, but it wasn't really mobile, right? In 2006. And then I didn't get Instagram until 2012. And I'm like, I'm 22 at this time. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm like, I have more confidence. If I have a pimple on my face, I don't care. It's
Right.
not embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like when I was, 5-6 years earlier where you'd be embarrassed of things.
Yes.
So it was like I had, some of my wits in my earlier years before social media came. So I can't imagine being 13, 14, 15, and I'm dealing with that type of negativity.
Right.
Especially now with, like you see in the States with like NIL and the money that's
Yeah.
involved. It's a beast.
Yes.
Sport has become a beast now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So which is why when I talk about like comparing, from generation to, you can't really, because there's this big thing called social media that has changed everything.
Right. Very outcome driven, right? Because
Yes.
that's all you see is just the outcome of the
You
thing,
just see the clips.
right?
Yes.
And that's, you don't see all the work that goes into it, or
And I always tell, like when I talk with athletes about like social media and things, because naturally, right, as a strength coach, you're like, hey, I saw this on social. Look at this.
Right. They want
Or
to
they'll send
try
me
stuff.
something, or should I
Or
be
an
doing this?
exercise.
Is this
Yeah, I
good
get
or
that
whatever?
too with the track
Right?
athletes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is you have to understand. I always say to them, I'm like, listen, your social media, right? Let's go through it. Do you post the days you're down? No. Why would I post that? Okay. You only post the days that are great, right? And how many days in a week would you say are the best days of your life? They're like, well, not every day. I'm like, well, exactly. So imagine if you posted every single day, what your timeline would look like versus if you just posted the highlights. Hey, I'm on this. What do people do? I'm on this trip. All right. I'm in New York City. Look at this. Hey, I'm, in this new place. Look at this. Right. Or I just won this. Look at that. They're not looking at, hey man, I came fifth in that race. I'm proud of, my little fifth place badge or whatever it may be. They're not posting that.
No, I got a personal best, which,
Yeah,
that's what we talk about, right? We talk about a lot, like, what's your personal best as coaches? Good coaches are not saying necessarily we go in every race to come first. We go in races to develop, get nervous, put ourselves out there, and it's,
So
yeah, it's wild.
that's the interesting, like for track, like with me, I was, fast, but
Obviously.
I was football fast. But I always tell
You were
people,
track fast too, I'm gonna say,
no,
like,
that track
in a
fast,
way,
that's
yeah.
a different type
It's
of speed.
different. It's
That's a,
different.
and
Yeah.
I always tell football players, tell athletes, I'm like, track speed and team sport speed
Yeah.
are two completely separate worlds.
True.
We marvel at anyone that can go over 10 meters a second.
Yeah.
Track, you're running at 11 and 12 meters
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, who is arguably the fastest man in the NFL,
Yeah.
and he ran at 10:15. He could not crack an Olympic
Right.
final.
Right.
He couldn't. Like with
Yeah.
that, maybe he could,
Well,
but I'm just trying to say, I'm like,
the
it's a
distance,
different,
yeah,
it's a different type of
It's
speed,
different. It's different.
and you have to really respect
Yes.
what these athletes are doing. That's a
Yeah.
different type of speed.
Yeah, for sure.
It is so fast. It is a different type of speed.
Okay, last question for you on this topic, and I think it's important people understand that you are a true expert in this, and they should listen to your advice. So, if a parent or if there was a kid listening to this that can make some of their own decisions, was going to do something tomorrow to help their development to become the best that they can be as a 18 to 24-year-old, what's the path?
You got any more context? So in terms of what sport are we talking?
So let's say that they're, around 12, and let's use football
say
because
football.
that's your bread and butter.
So football, I would say, is a little easier from the standpoint of just because there's so many different types of body types and things like that. But I would just say at that age is whatever sport you play rep in, just build out what you don't get. So again, in terms of like a menu, I look at, okay, kick, jump, run, catch, throw. You probably can get that in football. All right, cool. Are you swinging a bat? No. Okay, well, why don't you go, play some baseball? Are you play volleyball? Wrestle, go in jujitsu,
Right. Yeah.
right? There's all these different things.
Martial arts.
Kind of like a side note, working with women's sports was really interesting from the standpoint of when it came to like we had to do contact and tackling. It's just a lot of the times they're just not used to being like this close to each other. And that comfort of actually being in someone's zone, right?
So interesting.
And then that's
Yeah.
it. And it was just like once you break that barrier, tackling becomes a lot better.
Right.
Because
Interesting.
when they go to tackle,
That's
it's like it's a
fascinating.
little awkward because it's like, okay, I'm in your
Really
personal, you know what I
close
mean?
to
I'm
your
in your
base.
personal space.
Yeah.
Right. And then another thing is like I worked with a wrestler and we were doing something and it was like we were in like this tight quarters and she had to come really close to be able to like screw something in. And I was just like, as a wrestler, you are in someone's personal space all
No
the time.
problem.
Like
No
you're face to face,
problem.
you're,
No
picking someone
problem.
up. And it's just, again, that comfort zone of just being in there. So basically just get out of your comfort zone.
I love
right?
that. Yeah.
So doing things that are uncomfortable.
Difficult. We even say that to general public, right? Because like when I used to work with a lot of dancers and I'd say they'd be like, I love yoga. I'm like, of course you love yoga. You can do the splits 5 different ways. Yoga is not what you need. You need to go lift some weights. You need to go get some endurance, things like that. And they love yoga because they go in and they're the star of the yoga class. And I think kids would probably be the same thing, is that they love what they're good at. And so it's get uncomfortable, add some skills that you're not good at.
Yeah, I think that's really important from the standpoint of just having a just variety in your movement, right? Like another quick story. I was talking to a parent and he was working with his daughter on the ball goes in there for soccer, ball goes in the air, being able to take it off your head or your
Right.
chest and
Yeah.
bringing it down to your feet.
Yeah.
Okay. But the ball would go in the air and then like you would see this and
Yeah.
then flinch,
Yeah.
right? She goes and plays volleyball for 2 weeks. He tries to do it again, and now, oh, the ball's here.
Right. No
Right.
problem.
And
You're
it
just used
solved
to
the
it.
problem. You're
Yeah.
trying to drill it by doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Right.
But again, it's okay to be general,
Yeah.
right? But you're doing something where, okay, well, she has to get used to, volleying a ball, getting close to a
Yeah.
ball.
Getting close
The
to a
ball's
ball.
spiked down at
Her face.
crazy speeds. What are you going to do? Protect yourself in
It's
the right
okay.
way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so
So
interesting.
again, movement variety is the most important for me.
Awesome. Great takeaway. Thank you so much, Kris, for joining us.
Thank you, Kris.
Thanks for listening to the Totem Wellness Podcast. Please follow us on Apple, Google, or Spotify and leave a 5-star review and comment. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, and please spread the word to family and friends.